What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dina and we're in the garden today, more specifically North Carolina zone 7B. Today I'm going to be giving you guys a grand tour of the garden. It's summer and everything is thriving. I can't wait to show you guys. Let's do this. We're going to start out here at the edge of the garden. This year I installed a fruit tree hedge. We have a pear, plum and peach tree, which are doing real well. We had another Asian pear and a cherry tree right here, those two little sticks coming out of the ground. They didn't make it. And then we have another plum, a different variety than this one, and then another peach tree there at the end. So once these get going, they say that the first year, as far as fruit trees go and some other fruits, the first year they sleep, the second year they creep, and the third year you reap. So I'm excited to see how these grow along through the years. We were apprehensive to put in fruit trees at first because we didn't know how long we would be at this property. But just like in life, sometimes you sow seeds for the future and for future generations, not just for yourself. Just a few steps over from our fruit tree hedge, we have our arch trellises. I've mainly planted tomatoes here, but I also have a few cucumbers, as I'll show you behind me. Right here we have a big beef tomato. We prune our tomatoes using the single stem leader method. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I have a how-to within my tomato hornworm prevention video, and I will link that below if you want to check it out. So this is, like I said, a big beef tomato. We've got some awesome fruit and fruit sets coming off of this thing. I'm super excited to eat more. I've already harvested a couple of these. This is one of our first tomatoes to take off. And we plan on just growing it up that arch trellis up and over. I have a lemon boy tomato right here. Two tomato plants that are going to climb right here. I'll take you back to this last bed behind me to show you the cucumber plants I have in that one. Last bed in the arch trellis area, I did plant two cucumbers right here that are going to climb up and over the trellis, and then a sweet cherry pepper plant. These are little small peppers. When they are ripe, they turn red, and I'm a big fan of sweet peppers, especially sweet bell peppers, and I'm excited to try this little variety of sweet pepper. I'm not too fond of the hot peppers, but we do have some of those growing as well. Also, these are some bulbs that I planted. I'll put the date that I planted them below, but the hummingbirds love these flowers. And I actually just spotted one this morning on this flower set right here, and then he hopped up onto the very top of the arch trellis to take a nice little rest. He was a cute little guy. In between the fruit tree hedge and the arch trellises, we have this bamboo trellis where we grow our indeterminate tomatoes up a string using that single leader stem method. We put a tomato clip right here at the bottom and then just wind the tomato up the string as it grows. We've got a few ripening down here that I'm going to take off today. Actually pick this one right now, and we've just got sets going all the way up. I actually had one of these for dinner the other night. Oh, so nice and delicious. Nothing like homegrown tomatoes. Right here and right behind me are two of our raised beds that I planted sweet potatoes in. I love sweet potatoes, and what is awesome is that the greens are also edible. I would say that you could replace them in any recipe that calls for spinach. You could throw them in a salad, saute them. They're super nutrient dense, they taste really nice, and they're super prolific and something you can enjoy as your sweet potatoes are growing. I also, the other day, planted some watermelon little plants, little baby plants, from seeds that I saved from my watermelons from last year. I planted about 4 or 5 different varieties of melons that I grew last year, and they all came up, so I'm very pleased with that and super excited to have more melons later in the summer. Right now I see a little caterpillar on this sweet potato, so I'm gonna knock him off. More sweet potatoes here. Right here are my blackberries. I've been harvesting a nice little handful of blackberries each evening or in the morning, and I'll throw them in my oatmeal, and they have been super awesome to have. I'll have to prune this later this year so that I can get more fruit from it next year. Here is my 3rd sweet potato bed, and beside me right here is our Texas star hibiscus. This hibiscus flower is so beautiful. If you watched my first garden tour, my first video actually of this season, you saw that it was only about right here. So it has grown tremendously, and I can't wait to have the first blooms. I am not totally positive, but I think this is a blackberry. These are blackberry stems that have grown from that other plant I just showed you. These came up this year, brand new, and I noticed them when they were about that tall, and they've just kept growing. There's no fruit on it, so maybe I'll prune them as well, and next year hopefully there'll be some fruit off of these guys. In this raised bed right here, I've got a couple of herbs, including sweet marjoram and some chives over there. I love some chives. I actually cut them down completely about 3 weeks ago, and as you can see, they've come up nicely. Chives are an awesome perennial, and beautiful purple flowers will come out whenever they start to go to seed. I've also planted some turmeric and garlic within these beds, just in between the other plants where I have some free space, and some of them have started coming up. That's what those palm looking leaves are. Once they get going, I think the turmeric plants are so beautiful. Right here in this pot we have what's called a confetti flower. I love this thing. I'll give you some close-ups of this. It is just beautiful and so unique. I always make sure to have at least one of these in the garden each year. Oh, and this guy right here I made from some of that same scrap wood that I showed you in my first tour this year. Those little mini raised beds that we put within the flat garden. That's just some more of those scrap fence posts, and I just threw a little paint on them, added some color to the garden in addition to the flowers that I planted. Here along the back corner of the garden, I have a sunflower planted in one of those mini raised beds. I have another tomato that's not doing too hot growing up this string trellis, so I'll probably pull the fruit off of this real soon. Right here, this is a goji berry plant, also with tiny, beautiful purple flowers, and I do have a few goji berries. that are ready. And then right next to the goji berry, we have one of our amaranth plants. I'll show you some more of those within the flat garden. Got some baby okra plants that are growing right here. A melon plant. Got a squash. Actually, that one might be a zucchini. And then behind it I have squash in this row. This is where we did have our peas planted. The peas died off pretty quickly this year. I would say they were a little stressed out and maybe in shock this year and didn't take as well. But we still got a few peas that we harvested. I have a sunflower growing right here. And this was that sweet potato mound that I showed you guys in my how to grow sweet potatoes video, which I'll also link below if you'd like to learn how to grow sweet potatoes yourself. I promise you can do it. I planted another one of my baby melons right here. We have a squash plant right here. This is a Jack B. Little squash. They look like tiny little pumpkins. We also put one of those in dinner the other night. I'll show you a little screenshot of that. Put it in some tacos, just sauteed them up. Delicious. This is one of my regular potato mounds. This is where you saw me scooching some potatoes in one of my videos. Here we have some amaranth. These have such beautiful flowers at the top. And this is another plant that you can also eat the greens of. If you cut, especially the small leaves, they'll be a lot more tender, but if you just cut these leaves, you can throw them in a salad. It offers that pop of color as well as packs in that nutrition. So be sure to subscribe to my channel because I look forward to doing a recipe with the amaranth leaves as well as the sweet potato leaves. Panel trellis, I have tons of cucumber. We have a slicer cucumber, some mini white cucumbers, and a continuation of the mix of the two as you move along. And on the trellis behind me, I love cucumbers. As I've said before, they're the perfect summer snack. I love to put them in sushi. I have 2 pepper plants here. My pepper plants have taken a while to get established. I think it's because we've had some cold evenings and cold days, and pepper plants, just like tomatoes and cucumbers, love really hot days. So we'll see if these get to grow in more as we move along into the season. This raspberry plant right here is super magical. It's just now getting established this year. That's when I planted it. And I threw in a picture. I don't think there's any fruit on it right now, but they are considered a yellow raspberry, but look a little pink in hue, and to me they taste like pink lemonade, and my goodness, they are so soft and tender and one of the most delicious raspberries I've ever tasted. Right here I'm growing for the first time some eucalyptus. This is another zucchini plant. This was the first plant to give me the first zucchini of the season. And as I'm sitting here, I see some what I think are squash bug eggs. So if you see a set of eggs, wipe them out and you will be saving yourself a lot of trouble as opposed to letting these hatch and then having a little colony of bugs right on your plant. So that's why it's important to be out in your garden every day, just checking on your plants, just seeing how they're doing and watching for those bugs so you can prevent any type of infestation or any problems. Right here is another squash plant, another one of those Jack B. Little squashes. Can't really lift it up for you, but I'll give you some closer shots. This one is super prolific. There's probably a dozen squash growing right now on this plant. This is an Anaheim pepper plant. This is one of the only 2, I believe, pepper plants that have started fruiting. Check it out right here. We've got a hornworm. I have never found a hornworm on a pepper plant before until now. So I'm gonna get rid of this guy. y'all check out my hornworm prevention video linked below, and you will never have to worry about these guys. Here along the back side of my garden, within those mini raised beds, I have those cucumbers which have taken off. Some more flower bulbs that are blooming. They're so beautiful. And like I said, the hummingbirds love those. We don't have any of those hummingbird feeders that you put the sugar water in. I think that's kind of getting those hummingbirds addicted to that sugar, and they'll be less likely to go to your beautiful flowers. So why not just plant flowers instead? I actually saw at the agricultural store a new hummingbird feeder that you put bananas in, and the bananas breed fruit flies, and apparently hummingbirds love fruit flies, and it's a great source of protein for them, which I did not know. So that's a new product. So maybe check those out instead of those sugar water feeders, or just plant you some bulbs in the springtime, and you can have some nice natural hummingbird food for them. Similar to our bamboo trellis over here, we've got some cattle panel that we've angled, and are also going to tie some tomato plants up some string. I've got some young tomato plants planted along this row. There at the back I've got another sweet cherry pepper, and then at the very back I have an eggplant. Up front right here we have some more blackberries, and these are thornless as well as those other first ones I showed you, so that's super convenient. And then we have more cucumbers along the trellis behind the tomatoes. Right here we have Tom's multicolored hot pepper, but I'm only getting purple peppers, which isn't a problem with me. I love the color purple. And this pepper plant has done the best out of all the pepper plants in the garden so far. And I love to look at it. It's just got the best foliage. I have another baby okra right here. And then we have our tomato rows, which you've seen in my past videos, but we've got some great fruit sets on these things. Man, we'll take a closer look. Whew, we're rounding out this tour with the last row of the garden, and it's hot out here, so I'm a little thankful. This is one of our sun gold tomatoes. These have beautiful fruit sets. They're starting to ripen now. This is my favorite tomato other than the Cherokee Purple. I guess you would say this is my favorite cherry tomato. So good warm, so sweet. Oh my goodness. If you've never grown a sun gold tomato, you've got to. Down here, got some purple beans. I'll put the date below when I sowed these beans. I direct sowed them, and they're starting to grow in each of the mini raised beds. And these purple beans are delicious raw. They're green on the inside, and also when you cook them they turn green. So if you want to enjoy that purple hue, chop them up and throw them in a salad raw for that pop of color. Telling you, those sun golds will make your entire day. So that's it, guys. That's my garden right now, June 29th, about to enter into July. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at everything I have growing on, and hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw. Be sure to subscribe to the channel for more interesting content coming up soon. And be sure to share this with somebody who might find it useful. As always, keep growing.